Namaskar, I'm Harpreet Kaur and I welcome you all to our live and interactive session. You are watching this very special session on integration of virtual labs in teaching learning phase 2. When I say phase 2, it means that we are specifically catering to the audiences from the southern part of the country. This time, though this session is open to all, you all are open to learn and participate in this training program. Well, phase 2 includes states like Andhra Pradesh, Karnataka, Kerala, Tamil Nadu, Telangana and UTs of Puducherry, Lakshadweep and Andaman and Nicobar Islands. You are watching this session on PM eVidya channels from 6 to 12 and also on our YouTube channel NCERT Official. Well, if you wish to participate in this live and interactive session, you are more than welcome. Please take down our phone number, which is 8800440559. We also have a dedicated email ID for you, and that is diksha.training@ciet.nic.in. Make sure you send us your suggestions, feedbacks and comments in this email ID. Last but not the least, you are watching us live on our YouTube channel NCERT Official. You can always go to the comment section, put in your questions there. Any doubt that you might be having regarding the concept of virtual lab or the topic that we will be discussing today, just put your comments there and get in touch with us instantly. So today is day 2 of the training session where we will be talking about virtual lab as a teaching learning tool for biology. We all have performed biology experiments in the physical laboratories, but performing them in virtual lab is a totally different ball game altogether. So what exactly are we looking at today? We will talk about the experiences of learners and teachers when it comes to performing experiments and, of course, assessing the student respectively. We will also talk about the pedagogical aspect. Last but not the least, simultaneously, we will tell you how we can integrate virtual labs in our routine teaching learning, and we will demonstrate some experiments also if time permits. And side by side, we will also let you know that how virtual labs work. So we will give you a demonstration along with the theoretical part. So please stay tuned, and now it's time for me to welcome today's sessions expert. Well, we are joined by 2 experts. We have with us Miss Nidhi Adlakha Tuli. Ma'am, namaskar and welcome to the session.
Thank you.
Ma'am is Senior Academic Consultant from CIET NCERT New Delhi, and we are also joined by Dr. Upasana Sharma. Ma'am, namaskar and welcome.
Namaste, thank you.
Ma'am is Academic Consultant from CIET NCERT New Delhi. So along with these 2 experts, let's take the session forward, and I have this very first question for you, Upasana ma'am, that before we actually go about the virtual lab experience, we talk about it in detail. I would like to know that how these labs can be a significant part of teaching and learning experience, especially here in the context of biology.
Okay, ma'am. Basically, lab is a place where theories and concepts are tested. Theories and concepts are turned into hypotheses. You test a hypothesis, it can come true or it can become wrong. Now, when we talk about hypothesis, how can you actually frame a hypothesis? Suppose you want to test how light helps in the growth of the plant. Suppose if you want to know how light helps in the growth of the plant, then you can frame a hypothesis light helps in the growth of the plant.
Right.
Then light helps in the growth of the plant. It can be true or it can be wrong. So in this way, our physical labs helps in the building of theories and concepts which you can check in the form of the hypothesis.
Okay.
Basically, physical lab provides a platform where you can actually experiment and explore various scientific phenomena, which is very tough to explore in a physical lab. Like it is very tough to explore how you can actually see a particular cell under the microscope. When it comes to the physical lab, theories and concepts are tough to understand only in the form of theories and principles, but when you actually explore under the microscope, when you actually experiment a process, when you actually explore a particular cell organelle, then actually you are able to understand that very well.
Right.
Now the second important feature is the development of the scientific temper. The core aspect of scientific temper is a curiosity nature. When a learner is curious, then he or she will try to analyze what is the real reason behind any certain phenomena. What is the reason why the temperature is increasing, why certain pollutants are affecting the ecosystem. Here, when a learner is curious, basically he try to analyze things, he develops scientific attitude, he have problem solving nature, he makes decision like why certain amount of temperature is important for the growth of the plant. And the last and the most important feature is having the lab skill acquisition. Here, in a physical as well as in virtual lab, where there are various skills. In physical lab, a learner do various things like peeling, mounting, slicing. So basically, a learner do a hands-on practices on a various thing. So in this way, a physical lab provides a platform where learner can actually do practicals, where learners can actually perform by doing certain things. That is, here he or she is going to have a experiential learning.
Right. So this way we know that how performing experiments in laboratories, physical laboratories, is extremely beneficial because you get hands-on experience, you can touch and feel things, and virtual labs also provide similar kind of experience. Let's see how. So Nidhi ma'am, I have this question because we all are familiar with physical laboratories. We all have gone there, performed experiments and really felt excited that, you know, this is our turn. But what is the relevance of virtual labs in today's scenario?
True that we all of us have performed experiment in physical lab, and the experience we get when we actually perform the experiment is indispensable.
Yeah.
So we cannot replace the experience of physical labs, but we can enhance that experience with the help of virtual labs. And as all of us know, that because of lack of infrastructure, many students do not get the chance to perform these experiments, either because chemicals are not there or other materials which are required for that particular experiment to be performed.
Right.
They are not available, and because of which they do not get the chance to perform that experiment. But if we talk about virtual labs help those, especially those learners, that they also get the chance to perform experiment. They get to know that how the beaker looks like, how the measuring cylinder looks like. Otherwise, they will not be able to recognize these basic apparatus. So they just require a device and internet, and they can easily perform the experiment. So in the actual laboratory, we get the entire experience. We get to know the theory. Teacher explains the background information. Teacher tells what are the steps which are going to be performed, and how the students are going to perform those steps and why they are performing those steps. So in the same way, in virtual labs also we get the same experience. We get to know that what is the background information. We get to know the same information in the form of video also, because if somebody doesn't understand it, if it is in the form of text, they will understand it even better when they'll watch video. So on this note, I would first of all like to show you that how we can reach virtual labs, how we can navigate, and for that I can show you the Diksha platform.
Sure.
So for that, you have to go to any browser, search this URL, that is diksha.gov.in. You land on this website, and when you scroll down, you can see that there are focus areas of Diksha. When we scroll on these, we can see that various initiatives are there. One of them is virtual labs. When you click on this, you reach on this page, that is virtual labs, and when we scroll down further, we get to know that the basic information about virtual labs and for which classes the content is covered. So from class 6 to class 12th, we have activities which are available on virtual labs. If we click on any of the class, like here you can see that explore icon is there below each and every class. When we click on the explore icon, Hindi and English medium appears. Right now major content is available for English medium.
Okay.
So I'll click on English medium. Here you can see that the subjects for which experiments are there, these are mentioned. I have clicked on science, and when we click on that, you can see that we get to see the entire list of experiments. So when we click on any one of the experiment, like I have clicked on this one, here we can see that the first thing which appears is the digital copy of the lab manual, which they already have. But sometimes they do not get that. If they are working, if they are studying somewhere else and they are not having the book, they can still access this in the form of digital copy. Then they can further scroll down and they can study more about it in the form of theory. Then they can go through the procedure where all the materials which are required are mentioned, real lab procedure and simulator procedure. So in virtual labs we have simulator in which they will simulate the experiment. They will get the same experience, not same but yeah, similar experience as of the physical lab. Then we have video. As I have already mentioned that we have videos available so that students can go through these videos and can understand the basic concept about these. So if you find it difficult to understand by reading a text, you can go through the video and you will definitely understand the background of this. Then we can further move down and we can see there is a simulation. So in the simulation you can see that all the materials which are required to perform this particular experiment are shown here, and this instructions are also given in the side panel. So you can read side by side. All the procedure was available individually as well. Here also you have instructions and you can side by side read and perform. So it is very easy for you to perform. And after performing the experiment, you can go to self-evaluation. So you can evaluate that you have read so much about this experiment, you have gone through the video also, you have performed the experiment also, how much you have grasped. So it is very important to assimilate the information. So you can answer all these and you can get to know whether you have understood something or you have missed something or not, and you can repeat the experiment as per the need. So this is how you can navigate virtual labs. But further I'll take you to some more points which I would like to cover in terms of relevance. So there are like we have already talked about accessibility and equity, that every child will get the chance to perform experiment whether they have physical lab or not. If you have physical lab, then definitely you can enhance your experience with the help of virtual labs. But if you do not have physical lab, then also you are getting the opportunity to perform the experiment. So in any case, virtual labs are useful for each and every learner irrespective of the facilities they are getting. So this is how it promotes equity and accessibility, and inclusivity also it promotes. How? Like some of the learners are not Divyang learners, they find it difficult, some of the Divyang learners find it difficult to move from one place to another, or to hold an apparatus, to hold any object, or to pour any chemical. So if it becomes difficult for them to do that in the physical lab, they can still get the experience of performing the experiment with the help of virtual labs, because they will require to use a mouse, and by that only they can just drag and drop and perform the entire experiment and understand the whole concept behind it. So by that they will be able to perform, and this is how virtual labs promote inclusivity. Then the interface is user friendly. Like just now I had shown you simulation, so in that instructions were also given in the side panel. So it becomes very easy for the user to perform each and experiment, because the learner is required only to drag and drop, and to side by side they can read the instruction also. So they do not find it difficult to go to the next step. Even if somebody is performing the experiment for the first time, then also it can be done easily. And the last point, which is very important, that is personalized learning. So children get personalized learning, self-paced learning. They will be able to go through each and every resource, whether theory or video or simulation or self-evaluation. They can do it on their own pace. They can stop whenever they wish to. They can resume whenever they wish to, as per their requirement and convenience. And by that, it will facilitate learning. And that is the relevance of virtual labs.
Right. So we have clearly, seen here literally that education is reaching your doorstep. Virtual labs are making them accessible. Inclusivity is there, especially for people who are specially abled, are Divyangjan. And of course, we can see that you can perform these experiments repeatedly. There is content in the text format, there is audio video material also. So any way that you find yourself comfortable in learning, the resources are there. But I believe that once you go to the physical lab, you certainly have a different kind of experience, because you are in the environment literally. As ma'am said, that you know how a beaker looks like, what measuring different equipments look like. So, Upasana ma'am, I want to ask you that we all know that whenever we perform experiments in a physical laboratory, our skills are enhanced,
Yes,
we
ma'am.
learn more, we know how to do the experiments in a very balanced and measured manner. But does virtual lab are also doing the same job? Are
Yes,
they
ma'am.
enhancing the skills?
Yes, ma'am, definitely. See, ma'am, when it comes to virtual lab, there are certain things which a learner is doing, and he himself is observing that he is doing something different from the physical lab.
Yeah.
So, suppose in the physical lab, when you are doing an experiment, then you are observing certain things only one time. But in a virtual lab, a learner can perform an experiment, can redo an experiment multiple times. So, basically the power of observation. Now, what exactly is observation? Observation is ability to recognize something, certain dimensions of a certain aspect. So, in a virtual lab, when a learner is doing an experiment, then he is performing that experiment and he is observing the various dimensions of that particular
Right.
observation. For example, suppose if a learner want to understand what is the effect of temperature or the pH on the activity of the enzyme, he or she can perform that experiment multiple times, and every time when a learner is performing that experiment, then he himself will observe that at every time he is seeing a very different dimension of that particular experiment. So the power of observation is different from the physical lab. Now the second thing is data recording. Now raw information is data. In the virtual lab, the theoretical concepts are molded into the measurable outcomes. In the virtual lab, when the learner is recording our data, he is recording it on the basis of empirical evidences. It's not that he is he's thinking that oh, the result will come in that particular way. So in the virtual lab, the data are recorded onto the basis of empirical evidences which a learner can either accept or reject. Now the third thing is variable. Here in the virtual lab, a learner can actually control the variable. In the physical lab, it's very difficult for a learner to control the variable, whether it's the temperature, whether it's the pH, and we all know how important it is to control the variable. If suppose we are not controlling the extraneous variable which are affecting our experiment, then we cannot say the dependent variable or the result we are getting, it's only because of our independent variable. That's why it's very important to control our variable. In the virtual lab, the environment is as such where the learner can actually control the variable, variable which may affect during the experiment. So, virtual labs helps in controlling the variable. Now the next thing is analysis of the data. As I have just said that in the virtual lab, the data we recorded is on the basis of evidences. The data is correct. Here when a learner is analyzes their data, he is analyzing on any quantitative basis. So the result which is coming is not based on any intuition or any anecdotal record. The result is accurate.
True.
So I can say the inference or the result is accurate. And the last and the main important thing, how a lab experiment can be used in field. Suppose you are discovering something, you are doing an experiment, then it is of no use if you are not applying that result in the leaps in the field circumstances. You are discovering a drug for fever. So it is of no use if you are not able to apply in the field, if the common people are not able to use those drugs.
Yeah.
So in the virtual lab, the environment is as such as the variables are controlled, the data is analyzed on the basis of statistical technique, the result is accurate. Here you can say that the result is the drug which you have discovered can be used in field. The result is valid, the result is reliable.
Right. I mean, you really made a very valid point. I mean, all these points are really important. But one thing that stuck with me is controlling the variables.
Yes,
of course, you can interpret, you can draw inferences, and you can analyze the data. But once you're performing the experiments in real physical laboratories, sometimes it is not, in your control to control the externalities,
Yes,
because there's so many factors dependent on it, and then you won't be able to get the desired accurate outcome. But here you can control the variables, and that's I would say mind-boggling part of virtual labs.
Yes, ma'am.
But someday, at some point of time, one has to visit a physical laboratory. One has performed experiments on virtual labs. How do you think that physical lab experience can be enhanced once when somebody has already done these experiments in a virtual environment?
Definitely, ma'am. Then virtual lab can enhance our physical experience, or we can integrate our virtual labs in our physical lab. In the three ways we can actually integrate our virtual lab in our physical labs or environment.
Okay.
It is during the session and after the session. Suppose a teacher want a learner to perform any experiment. A teacher need a lab manual. So a teacher can get lab manuals from the virtual lab, and we all know how different physical environment is, how costly the chemicals are, how hazardous the chemicals are. So a teacher can give a mimic environment. A teacher can ask the learner to first perform the certain experiment in the virtual lab, then he can ask the learner to perform the same experiment in the physical lab. In this way, the learner will know how exactly the amount of chemical he or she needs, or what are the procedure and what are the methods a learner can take while performing the experiment.
Right.
So as you can see in the virtual lab, there is a theory portion. Here a learner can go through the theory. Suppose if a learner want to study about the pollutant and the effect of pollutant on our ecosystem, or the amount of pollutant present in the air, then learner can go through the theory aspect. The learner can go through the procedure, what a learner need to do, what are the various steps a learner need to perform during the experiment. So before doing the certain experiment in a classroom, a learner can actually use virtual lab before the physical lab for performing any experiment. Then it comes during this session. During the session, a learner can perform a procedure, can make observation and can record data, and he or she can also perform the same experiment in the virtual lab. Here the learner can relate the physical lab experiment results with the virtual lab experiment result. So the result by the end of the experiment the learner will get, then he is able to write or do or can say here I am having the certain evidences. So the result which I have get is accurate. Then comes to the post lab session. After the learner has performed a particular experiment, recorded the data, drawn any conclusion or interpret, now it comes how to actually compare that result with the theoretical part, with the theoretical expectations. So after the post lab session, what can actually do? A learner can test her knowledge. A learner can go through the virtual lab. Here the learner can check. There are certain self-evaluation tool which a learner can go through. This I will demonstrate you with an experiment. Suppose I have just said if a learner want to study about the effect of pollutant in the air, then the learner can first go through the theory portion, can go through the procedure, can see animation, can see the video, and actually perform the experiment. Suppose a learner want to study how much the amount of suspended particulate matter is present in the atmosphere.
Right.
So in this experiment, as the learner can see, the 3 types of environmental conditions are given: very heavy vehicle traffic, moderate and no vehicular traffic. And in the measuring scale, a learner can see then the leaf of certain plants are given. So what can a learner do? First, he can measure what is the quantity or what is the weight of the leaf before using those leaves in the environmental conditions, and after using those, and he can actually check the time differences then before and after by using these. One second, I need to reset this.
Yeah, you can also compare easily. You know?
Yeah, definitely. You can also compare easily by writing down the pre and the post weight of the leaves, and when a learner divide their post weight from the pre weight, then what the learner can actually understand about what the actual weight of suspended particular matter in the environment.
That's quite interesting.
So in this way, a learner can use a virtual lab in pre, during and post lab session.
Right. So you can go to these physical laboratories prepared. You know what outcome is desired, you know how to perform the same. You can save yourself from hazardous chemicals or any other accident for the matter. You can also save resources, and we have seen that this content is self-explanatory. You know, after the initial guidance from the teacher, you don't really need anybody to sit on your head and guide you or prompt you again and again. You can perform the experiments, get yourself a feedback, repeat the experiments and master the experiments. But you know, these days we are talking about blended learning. National Education Policy 2020 is also emphasizing that let's encourage blended learning across the country, because it is very important to understand the concept both ways. And this actually motivates me to ask another question. So I would like to ask you that how teachers are actually adopting this virtual labs in pedagogy, how they are basically, you know, including this in the routine teaching learning experience.
Okay. So when we are talking about virtual labs, we are promoting teachers and learners. In fact, teachers are also learners.
Yeah.
So we are promoting teachers and students to utilize virtual labs as much as they can. So focusing on teachers, they can integrate virtual labs in their lesson plan. So how we can do that? First of all, whenever we plan our lesson, whenever we start thinking about that, what all activities I'm going to include when I'll explain this. So we first of all need to think that what should be the learning outcome of the class I'm going to take. So for example, because we are talking about virtual labs, so my example should be related to that only, first of all. So digestive system, for example. So in biology, one of the topic is digestive system, which is taught in junior classes also, senior classes also. Only the details which we are telling, that varies.
Yeah.
So if we talk about that, you are teaching in a senior class in 11th standard, for example, and you want that students should understand that salivary amylase, which is one of the enzyme which participates in digestion, so that acts most effectively when the temperature is 37 degrees Celsius. So we want learners to understand this thing, to get to know this thing. So we have thought about that this is the learning outcome. Then I need to set an objective for that, what all I'm going to do, so that I can explain this concept to students and they can understand and get to know that yes, 37 degrees Celsius is the optimum temperature for the activity of this particular enzyme. So we have to set the objective, like I'll teach action of salivary amylase on starch. So for that you can utilize. So first of all, what you have done, you have identified the learning outcome and objective. Then you have to search that out of all the available virtual labs, which experiment suits this particular topic. So if we go to the virtual labs right now, and as I said that this is taught in multiple classes, because we are talking about the higher level information. That means we are talking about that salivary amylase how that enzyme acts. So we can search, and we have found that this is in class 11th. This is one of the experiment. So we have the second step which we have done is we have identified the experiment. Now once we have identified the experiment, we need to integrate it in the lesson plan. So how do we integrate it in the lesson plan? It's not necessary that this is related to virtual, this is related to lab, so that means we have to take it only when we are going to take a laboratory class. We can take it in theory also. For if a teacher is going to explain the chapter related to digestive system, at that time also this experiment can be used. Like if you are going to explain digestive system, and the digestion begins from mouth, and salivary amylase is found in the saliva itself. When we eat food, the food contains starch along with other nutrients, and that starch gets acted upon by this enzyme.
Yeah.
So we can start from there. When we are explaining this reaction, at that time also what we can do is we can take students to this experiment, that yes, we have already talked about this concept. So here we will simultaneously we will perform this experiment. So here you can see in this test tube, what do we have? We have starch solution. In this we have saliva, and in these test tubes we have iodine. So we can relate with the students that saliva acts on the starch, but how do we get to know that when this enzyme is acting on the starch, whether it is getting digested or not?
Yes.
So how much time it is taking? If we want children to understand that at 37 degrees Celsius it takes less time, and at lower and higher temperature it takes more time. So for that we have another chemical, that is iodine. So in this you can see that we have many test tubes, and there is iodine in each and every test tube. So we can introduce this point to the students that starch and iodine combine and they give blue-black color. But if starch is digested, then it will not give blue-black color. So you have told so many things, but along with that simultaneously you are showing the same also to the learners. So here you can see that there is a temperature. So what I am doing is I am simultaneously demonstrating this experiment, so that you get to know that how you can integrate it in the lesson plan. So here you can see that there are two variables, temperature and pH. Since I am talking about temperature, I have chosen this. Then when we click on the other variables, here we have 5 degrees Celsius, 37 and 70 degrees Celsius. We will start from lower temperature, that is 5 degrees Celsius. So what we have to do is we have to take first of all saliva in the starch solution. Once we have added it, at the same moment we have to take our first reading, which is termed as 0-minute reading. Then here the timer has started, we have to be ready with our dropper. So I have taken it, after 2 minutes I have added it, and I have to continue this after every 2 minutes. So what we are doing, we are trying to get the readings after every 2 minutes. So till now you can see that the starch has not digested, because it is still showing blue-black color. So in 13 minutes it got digested. Now if we reset it and keep the temperature as 37 degrees Celsius, which is the optimum temperature for the activity of this enzyme, let's try and find out in how much time it is acting. So I am repeating it in the same way, but now the variables have changed. So the 0-minute reading I have taken, I have to be ready for the 2-minute reading. So I have taken it and added in the next test tube, and then again I have to be ready for the next reading. So I have taken it again and put it in this, and you can see that before 4 minutes the digestion has occurred. So this shows that at 37 degrees Celsius the reaction has taken place very fast. You can do the same at 70 degrees Celsius also. Since the steps are same, I am not going to demonstrate again. But what I want to talk about here is, by this we are reaching at the learning outcome. We started from that students should get to know that the optimum temperature for the action of this enzyme is salivary is 37 degrees Celsius.
Right.
And this is what we have shown also with the help of this experiment. So what we have done, we have integrated this virtual lab experiment in our lesson plan.
Right. And I think we can do that simultaneously beautifully. That's the best way to make a student learn. But only learning is not enough, you know. Testing a student, whether the student is performing well, understanding the concepts well, is also important. Though the matter is self-explanatory, students can get instant feedback. But for a teacher also, it is very important whether student is ready to perform the same experiment in a real physical laboratory or not. Assessment and evaluation definitely plays an important role. So, Nidhi ma'am, I would like to ask you that how virtual labs can be used for the same.
Yes, so only teaching and learning is not complete if we have not taken assessment.
Yes.
Because if we have not analyzed ourselves, how
Yeah.
will we get to know whether we have grasped the concept correctly or not?
Right.
So for that also we can use virtual labs. Like right now I have taken an example of the experiment in which a salivary amylase acted on the starch. So I'll take the same example so that you'll be able to relate further. So there are two types of assessments which we can do with the help of virtual labs. One of them is diagnostic assessment and the other one is formative assessment. So diagnostic assessment is done before beginning the class and formative assessment is done after you have explained the concept.
Okay.
So for diagnostic assessment, how we can use this experiment? Like I have said that I am talking about the experiment which is explained in 11th standard. So the digestive system process or digestion process is not explained for the very first time in 11th standard. It is explained from the junior classes. Even a 6th class student knows
Yes.
what is digestion. So when you are teaching, when you are about to teach, when you are about to start this explanation of this concept, before that you can show this experiment which I have just demonstrated, and you can show the basic material that here we have starch, we have saliva, we have iodine. So do you know anything about it? Do you know first of all what is salivary amylase? It's not necessary that even in 11th standard student know what is this enzyme, where it is produced.
True.
So many of them doesn't even know about this enzyme. So teacher can start with these questions, that what is salivary amylase, where is it produced, what's the need of this enzyme, how it works, which process it facilitates, whether this happens inside a body or not.
Right.
So there are so many questions which can be asked, which are very basic questions and which are just testing their knowledge which they gathered in their previous classes. This is not to test them, just it is for teachers to get to know that which topic, from which subtopic they should begin, so that student can understand the complexities of this particular process. If student doesn't know what is this particular enzyme and where it is produced, then how will they be able to relate the reaction which we are showing? So they should have the background information, and for getting to know whether they have the basic information or not, virtual labs can be used, like just I have explained. So this is how diagnostic assessment can be done. Now if we talk about formative assessment, so formative assessment can be done that once the experiment is shown, once the concept is explained, then teacher can ask, can make groups also, or can ask individually also, that come forward and perform the experiment right now. They can tell the other group or the other child to explain that why the reading has to be taken multiple times. Then another student can be asked that if we are taking multiple readings, then what kind of change we are observing.
Absolutely.
Then another student can be asked that if a change is occurring, what does it show? So by this what we are doing, we are assessing the theoretical concept with the help of practical experiment. So virtual labs are facilitating teaching and learning, whether in theory class or in practical class. In all the classes, you are getting this experience.
Right. So, I mean, you know, you talked about assessment and evaluation, but what I can gather from this also, that learning is so customized and so personalized. You can increase the difficulty level, at each step after assessing whether child or students are capable of performing the experiments at that level or not. So this is something Really great. I think we can move forward now. We have talked about how it is helping teachers in gauging what their students have learned and how far they have reached. But how useful it is for the learner? Well, that's a big question because we have designed everything for the learners specifically. And Upasana ma'am, I would like to ask you that are the intended users or learners taking the benefit from this? How they are being benefited from it?
Okay, ma'am, definitely. So we have just discussed about how virtual labs can actually help teachers. Same virtual lab is very useful for our learners as well.
Okay.
We all know that we all have individual differences. Some learns a concept fast, some takes time in learning or understanding any concept. So in physical lab, when we are doing any experiment, there is a constraint of time. So a learner need to understand that particular concept in a particular time limit. But in virtual lab, a learner can understand any experiment at his or her own
Pace,
speed
yeah.
or his or her own pace.
Right.
A learner can even redo an experiment if he need to understand that particular concept in depth.
True.
So, our virtual lab platform provides the conceptual understanding. Now, what exactly is a concept? A concept develops on the basis of understanding the similarities and dissimilarities between the various things. By relating the pre and the post condition, by relating the cause and effect. So, the virtual lab platform provides the hands-on experimentation. It gives the immediate feedback to the learner. Oh, I have learned this much amount of the content. I need to redo the experiment or I need to re-go with the theoretical aspect. So, our virtual lab platform provides the conceptual understanding. This platform is very engaging. In this platform, there are various features like theory, procedure, animation, videos are given, and in the simulation portion, there are drag and drop button. So, there are some various feature which keeps engaging a learner. A learner is doing certain things, a learner is relating a certain aspect. So, a learner throughout the experiment, a learner found himself engaging in their experiment. So, the virtual lab platform provides the learner, it enhances the learner, it motivates the learner to do a certain experiment.
Well, these technologies are really engaging and immersive. We have been using these words quite often now because we know that when you are engaged in something or involved in something so deeply, you learn it on a deeper level. And I think immersive technologies make you feel as if you are in the environment, you're witnessing everything, you know, literally there. So this makes the concept really interesting and this makes you to learn more. It develops your interest in the subject and also enhances your creativity skills. And now it's time for us to watch some experiments. Well, we have two experts with us. They will perform certain experiments for us. So Upasana ma'am, let's start with you. Please give us the first demonstration. Let's watch one complete experiment so that whatever we have learned so far, our learners, our teachers, teacher educators can learn or relate the concepts to the practicals.
Yes, ma'am, definitely. So, the experiment which I have taken from the virtual lab is from the class 7th. And there's this certain topic like how to identify the parts of a flower and how to distinguish whether it's a unisexual flower or a bisexual flower. So, first what a learner need to do, a learner need to select a particular flower. Okay, now the learner has selected a particular flower. Suppose if a learner is not aware what he or she needs to do next, he can go through the help portion. He just need to click on the help, then he will get prompt. Okay, now I need to select this or I need to perform this.
Okay, great.
A learner need to go through all the theoretical aspect, another check whether what I am doing is am I doing right or am I doing wrong.
You're instantly getting the feedback here.
Yes, you are instantly getting the feedback. Okay, am I doing right or am I doing wrong? So, now learner have gone through all the parts of the flower. Okay, a virtual dissection is given. Now the learner will check her knowledge. As we all know, a plant is divided into the androecium and the gynoecium, that is the male and the female portion. If the male parts are talking about, then the male part consists of the stamen, the phylum, and the female parts are talking about consist of the ovule portion. Now the learner will check whether the flower is unisexual or bisexual. As the learner have just performed the experiment, he or she will check, okay, I have read the experiment or have taught about the experiment, I have read about the experiment, and now when I am actually performing an experiment, I can actually test my knowledge, oh, this is actually a unisexual flower or this is actually a bisexual flower. Same, he can go through with any flower, he can check whether it's actually a unisexual or a bisexual.
Well, reset the entire content and repeat the experiments using your own difficulty level. Well, that's fabulous. Can we have another experiment?
Sure. So I have taken one experiment from class 10th. This is study of phototropism and geotropism in plants. So there are two different phenomena which appear similar, because of which many students get confused. But if they'll perform this experiment, they may understand it in a better way and will not be confused further. So as you can see that the instructions are given in the side panel, we can read and we can side by side perform. And it is also there, the same instructions are also available in the help icon. So I'll continue. So I have to draw plant 2 in the next test tube. Then what we are supposed to do, we have to drag and drop cotton swab. So I have to take the cotton swab, put it in the first test tube. Then I have to seal it with the tape. I have to do the same for the next experiment, for the next plant. Now what I am supposed to do, I have to drag these boiling tubes in the stand.
Okay.
Here is a next icon. I have to click on it. You can see that it is showing that the days are passing by and slowly the plants are showing growth according to the light and according to the gravity. So after day 4, now we are observing them. You can see here that the plants, the stem, the leaves are growing towards the light and the roots are not growing towards the light. They are against the light and towards the gravity. So we can further study it here. So as I have said that many of us get confused in this, but after performing this experiment and going through this assessment, we can check whether we are still confused or not.
Right.
So here we have to, here it is written phototropism and geotropism. The same is written for plant B, and by looking at the where the roots are heading or where the stem is heading, we have to put these words, whether positive or negative. So I am taking positive because it is phototropism, so I should write positive phototropism. And roots are not moving, have not moved towards the light, have not grown towards the light, so I am writing negative phototropism. In the same way, when it is about geotropism, so the leaves are negative geotropism, showing negative geotropism and positive geotropism. Here also we have to do the same thing. So when it is phototropism, so leaves are showing positive phototropism and roots are showing negative phototropism. So this is how we have marked the correct answer. If you will drag the wrong answer, it will not accept it and it will show that where you are going wrong and you need to repeat it. If we click on the inference icon, further the explanation is given. So you can go through the explanation, you can understand it, you can perform it multiple times and clear all your doubts related to this phenomena.
Well, how user-friendly these virtual labs are. We're not just talking about the interface, but see, you are getting help at each step. If you don't know, you've opened the website, you've landed on the page, on the experiment page, you don't know how to proceed. There is a help icon, you can get the help, you can get the prompt, and you cannot go wrong even if you want to, because it will not let you go wrong, because the website is designed such that it will prompt you when the answer is incorrect, and it will help you learn what the correct answer is and how to go about it and how to learn it. Reset it and increase the difficulty level as per your learning and convenience. So this was a wonderful session where we talked about how virtual labs is, acting as a tool for teaching and learning of biology. This was fantastic. We performed some demonstrations, and along with the theory, we showed you the practical portion as well, so that you can relate the two concepts and you can be equally excited to use virtual labs when it comes to learning the concepts of biology today. In the days to come, we'll take different subjects, we'll learn more about the same. But before I actually wrap up this session, I told you in the beginning, it's a training program. That means that you can participate in the session, you can actually get yourself a certificate. So let's just let you know how you can do that. We have been telling you that every content, every detailed information is available on our website. So let's have a look at the website. Yes. This is our website, ciet.ncert.gov.in. That's our homepage. Go to the activities section and click on the workshop and training option. When you will click on the same, you can get this current activity. Right now we are focusing on online training on integration of virtual labs in teaching learning phase 2. Click on the same and you will get this complete write-up on this training program. Why we are having this training, what are virtual labs, what is their significance, and who all can participate. Though we are catering to the audiences from the south zone of the country, but I told you that anybody can participate. This training program is open to all, and here is the entire program schedule. Well, on day 1 we talked about virtual lab need, perspective and scope. We had these guests. On day 2 today we talked about virtual lab as a teaching learning tool for biology. We had our experts, and on day 3 we will be talking about virtual lab as a teaching learning tool for physics. So you will get the entire schedule here on this website. Then how to participate, because that's the most important thing. If you want a certificate, you need to register yourself first. That's the first step. So either click on this link or scan this QR code. Next step will be to watch all our sessions very attentively that are streaming on these platforms. They're also uploaded later or simultaneously at times on our YouTube channel NCERT Official for your references. Then third step is to participate in the assessment. If you score more than 70%, you will get yourself a certificate. And when the link will be opened, when it will be closed, so these are the deadlines that are mentioned over here. Last but not the least, it is very important to submit your feedback. See, we are presenting this content so that we can help you gain understanding and knowledge about this concept. But if you feel something is lacking or missing from our end, or if there are inputs from your side, feel free to share them with us. You can always write to us on diksha.training@ciet.nic.in, or you can call us during the session on this phone number. Now, with this, I have to wrap up the session over here, but let me thank both my experts for their unique contribution to the same. So, Miss Nidhi and Dr. Upasana, thank you so much, both of you.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Well, you wonderfully explained the content and you presented it in a very organized and a very nice manner. I'm sure that all our learners and viewers have understood and grasped the concepts. Now, this session is actually ending here, but before I leave the studio, let me tell you about all the programs that you can watch during the day. So let's take a quick look at the schedule. What's all coming ahead? Well, we started our day with Yog Shakti program, and of course, this was a session, Virtual Lab as a teaching learning tool for biology. In a short while from now, you can watch another session of ours, and we will be celebrating disabilities, of course. We have this International Day. You will get more details in the session. From 2 to 2:30 p.m. you will get a session on Urdu. From 2:30 to 3 we'll bring you a session on English. That will be paper boards. Quite interesting. 3 to 3:30 will be the time for mathematics session, where we will be talking about breaks, and 3:30 to 4 is the time for our session in Hindi. 4 to 5 p.m. is the time for our online training program, where we are talking about Internet of Things, mobile devices and its safety. Today will be the day 2, and we will conclude our day with our session Sahyog at 5 p.m. So please stay tuned for us. Stay tuned with us for a lot more content only on our different platforms. This is me, Harpreet Kaur.